Good morning friends and welcome back to my channel. I'm Emily and today I am going to be filming the last video for my Fosette Diaries vlog series that I did. I am in the process of getting my house all packed up and whatnot. My husband and I just purchased our first home, which is fantastic and exciting, but it does mean things are a little bit crazy at the moment. And I realized that I just packed up a box of like sweaters and then some of my hand knits in it, and I realized that my Fosette was in here, and I thought, oh, this needs to go in the box of sweaters, and then it hit me, I haven't filmed the last video in this installment, so I'm going to try and get this filmed quickly. Baby Tam is asleep, so we're going to kind of just do the whole rundown and talk about this gorgeous sweater pattern. So first off, let me show it to you. This is my Fosette. I am not going to put it on. It is swelteringly hot. I did take some footage of me wearing it when I was having my husband take some pictures, so I will pop that in here. But this is the Fosette crop pattern by Devin of the Knitty McPurly podcast, and I love it. It is so, so beautiful. I would very, very much love to make another one with like longer sleeves, so like a proper sweater, but I absolutely love this. I'm so proud of it. I think it turned out so, so well. Let me try and see if I can adjust the framing that I'm filming it a little bit so it's a little bit lower down so you can kind of see more what I'm doing. Hang on. I think that might be a little bit better because then you can see more of the sweater when I hold it up. But yeah, so if you've watched all the rest of my videos in my Fosette Diaries series, you already know a lot of the information on it, but I'm just going to I'm going to quickly do a rundown. I knit the 4th size. I used 2 of my hand-dyed yarns, and then this tealy blue color is a Barocco Vintage Baby DK in the Mallard colorway, and then this mustard and this variegated are some of my hand-dyed yarns that I've had in stash for years. I've had them in stash for a long time. There's that one and that one, and this mustard one is on a tweed base. It's 85% superwash merino and 15%, I think it's nap is what it is. I think that's what it's called. And then the this one is a 75-25 superwash merino nylon. And these two, my 2 hand-dyed yarns, were both fingering weights that I held double throughout the whole sweater. So there's that. I used a size 4 for all of the ribbing and a size 6 for the sweater. Sorry, I don't know if you just heard my neighbor start his truck up. Which I believe those were the needle sizes called for in the pattern, but I can't remember off the top of my head. So, yeah. I did omit the bobbles. There's a couple of spots where you can do bobbles. I don't remember where they are, and I just left them out. I tend to not care for bobbles so much. I don't mind knitting them, but they're just kind of this weird, like, pokey, outy lump in the rest of like this very soft, smooth sweater. And the other thing too is it doesn't really apply for this one, but if you have bobbles that are kind of all over, if you like lean backwards or whatever when you're sitting down, then they just kind of like poke into your back. So I left them off. But yeah, I think pretty much everything else that I did per pattern, I did make a couple changes to the color work, which you can see here. Usually in the pattern, this section would have some of the yellow in it, but I was running really low on the yellow because I forgot that I'd use it in another project, and so I didn't have quite the full 100 gram skein that I thought I did. I didn't realize that until I was like there in the sweater. So I just left it out of this section and then used it as much as I could in the bottom colorwork section. And then with the bottom colorwork section, I did kind of like freestyle it a little bit because I kind of ran out of yarn, so I just did a couple of little different things. Yeah. So, I think that's pretty much the only thing I did. I did omit one, so if you can kind of see these eyelets? They're supposed to be like the lace section. For one of those sections, I just left the yarn over out, and I think I did what's called a lifted increase instead of the yarn over. And I think if I make it again, I would just leave those out entirely, because it kept throwing me off, especially when I was like blocking it or whatever. I would be like, oh, I've got a hole in my sweater. And it's like, no, that's part of the pattern. So I think that I would do that next time. I think there was supposed to be another row. Somewhere in here, and in this section, I think there was a third row that you were supposed to do the, or maybe it was under this color. I don't remember exactly. And I didn't do it that one. And then I was like, well, maybe I should follow the pattern. So I did the other two, but next time I think I would leave those out because I think it looks better, just smooth. And then the one other major change that I made to the pattern is I added short rows in the back underneath this textured section before I split for the sleeves. And the reason I did that was so that, as you can see, my back neckline is just a little bit higher than the front neckline, which means that the front neckline will sit a little bit lower because I am very, very sensitive when things push up on my neck, like right here. It makes me feel like I'm like gagging or choking or whatever, and it's just so uncomfortable. Honestly, it's basically what I had very bad like acid reflux heartburn while I was pregnant with baby Tam, and that's kind of what it felt like the whole time. It felt like something was like pushing here. It was not fun. It's probably like my worst pregnancy symptom and my like least favorite part of being pregnant. Totally worth it still, but like that's what I'm saying. So in the day-to-day, if I can avoid that feeling, I will. Hang on, I'm gonna go check on the baby, just make sure he's supposed to be napping, but I'll be right back. Okay. He was awake. He did get up. It's a few hours later now. Back to this beautiful sweater. Also, I'm very tired. It's also like afternoon, so I'm kind of starting to get sleepy and just, but knitting and beautiful knitwear makes everything better. So, yeah, there's not really a lot else to say about the sweater. I'm trying to think if there's what I was saying, if I need to finish anything, but I don't think so. There were a lot of ends to weave in. Yeah, so these are all woven in. I just need to trim them off. I weave all of my ends in, and then I'll block it, and then I'll trim them off. I can't remember. It was some podcast or something that somebody mentioned doing that. And so since I watched that podcast, that's how I do my ends. Yeah, so here's the inside. Here's my, well, I'll show you the side without all the ends. There's my stranded color work. It's so lovely. I just love this sweater. I am hoping to make another one. Like I said, I would love to make like a proper winter version. I do think that I will wear this mostly in like the autumn winter time frame, but I would like to make like a nice long sleeve one. I think that would be absolutely lovely. So yeah, I don't think there's really much else to say about the sweater, to be honest. It's a wonderfully written pattern. I think that it is such a beautiful design. Like I mentioned, I think in one of my podcast episodes, my favorite part is definitely the big textured section. I think it just looks so cool. And I would love to make a sweater that's like just that texture. I think it would be so beautiful. Let's see. I'm getting distracted, trimming off the ends. Oh, that was one other thing that I wanted to mention. For the sleeves, in the pattern, it says to just pick up the sleeves, the stitches that you've put on hold, and then knit the ribbing. I actually did, I think it was 5 rows of stockinette. and then the ribbing, just because it only really added like half an inch or 3/4 of an inch in length, but yeah, I wanted there to be a little bit more of a, I guess, transition between the two. I didn't want it to just pick up ribbing and go, so that was one other little change that I made. Oh, that's right, that's what I was talking about. I am so sorry. I'm a little bit tired, and you know, I was talking about the short rows in the back of the sweater. So I used a tutorial by Tin Can Knits. There's a blog post for adding short rows to their free sweater pattern, the flax sweater, and I used that as kind of a starting point. I think I only did like 3 or 4, but it added like a good chunk, because like here, there's the comparison. Also, sorry, you can probably hear the baby monitor again. There's the front. That little bit of stockinette is what the pattern calls for, I believe, and then that's what's in the back. And also, I moved my beginning of the round. I just, instead of saying that was the, I think it's supposed to be like the right shoulder or something, I just made it my center back. Yeah. And I didn't have any trouble with that. I just switched it around because this is a round yoke. So I just made sure that when I separated the, for the sleeves, instead of, I think in the pattern it was like, you know, do slip or knit X amount of stitches for the back, or let me start over. When you separate for the sleeves on the sweater, in the instructions, it says something along the lines of knit this amount of stitches for the front, put this amount of stitches for the sleeve on hold, knit this amount of stitches for the back, put the other sleeve on hold, or something along the lines of that. So what I did to make my beginning of the round the center of the back was I just split it. So I did, you know, like knit half of the back stitches, put one sleeve on hold, do the front stitches, put the other sleeve on hold, knit the other half of the back stitches, if that makes sense, hopefully. And it worked perfectly, so I would probably do that again. I just like having stuff in the center back. It doesn't bother me. I know some people probably say that it's more hidden if you do it down like one of the sides, but I don't mind. Yeah. And you can tell, like, there's my beginning of the round. And I don't mind. It's fine. But yeah, so this is my Fosette sweater. It is an amazing pattern. I highly, highly recommend it. It's great for somebody who's not super familiar with color work because there's only a little bit of color work. So it's a good way to like practice it and whatnot. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. I had such a fun time knitting it, and I would absolutely love to make this again. So, yeah. Thank you so much for watching this video, for watching this video series. I hope that you enjoyed it. I'm going to go ahead and end things here and do a little bit of knitting or maybe take a nap. I don't know. I'm kind of tired. But yeah, that's all for today. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you again very soon. Bye!